This is Veana Marie, and you're listening to Hoobazoo.com.
The truth is, these kids need discipline. You know, I really believe they want to be pushed to their limit. And then good stuff happens.
Harmon! Harmon!
What the hell?
Okay, make way. Clear out. This is heat exhaustion. I'm gonna cool down his core. Take his pants off.
Hey, you really don't need to film this, all right?
Where are you gonna put that rod? Hold his leg up. Stand back.
What do you... Oh, oh, oh!
Oh, God!
Hey, I said don't film this. Get away from it. Move out of the way.
You'll be all right, son. You're in good hands. Is everything okay? Are you all right?
Am I gonna What? Whoa!
Okay, we got another one. Take his pants off. I'm gonna have to cool down his core.
Hey, he looks pretty bad. You might want to use 2 of those.
Gotcha. Back away.
You're filming this, right?
No, this is bad. Don't
Lucky bastard.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
This is blasphemy. This is madness. This is the booth.
Staring down, looking at the blood-stained concrete. You're the dead MC, lying at my feet. You took a 9mm rhyme straight to your mind. Damn, my better split. This is my time, so I make my way up the block. Get to home base and lock that up. Crack the Cavassier and grab the phone. Call one of my troops up. Hope the soldiers homie says, yo, what's up, what's going on? Make it quick, cause I'm trying to get my Stella on. Nigga, your girl, I'm in the... These lyrical assassins tried to pull a hit, and then boom, came a noise from the other room. It was the boys in blue with the SWAT crew. They got us locked up for lyrical murder. It's one of them charges that you never heard of. It's the booth. The booth. The booth. The booth. Yeah, it's the booth. The booth. The booth. Yeah, we're killing all your podcasts like the HIV virus. You want to battle this kid? Huh, don't even try this. Back the up, think again, count to 10. You want to grab that mic just to get done in? It's the booth. The booth. The booth. The booth. Yeah, it's the booth. The booth. The booth. The booth. Yeah, it's the booth.
Was he African?
African.
No. He was American, and he was like you. He looked just like you.
He was Jewish.
Just like you.
Okay, Jew.
Okay.
It's an odd crime for a Jew to
Yeah,
come
I'm
in.
pretty docile.
Okay, so we have an African Jew wearing a hoodie.
No, you don't.
No.
No, that's not what I said. Is that what you heard me say? I said he looked like you. Do you look like an African Jew?
No, I look like a cop.
Yeah.
He was Caucasian.
All right, your boy Sinister One broadcasting live from the City of Champions. You are listening to The Booth. It is already December 22nd, 2020. This is crazy. The year is almost over. Seems like just the other day that we were starting off the year 2020, and it has gone by pretty much in a blink of an eye. First of all, I got to thank my special guest from last week, Black C. Rapper Black C was on the show last week, hung out with me, premiered his new video, Sit Down. It was a great video. If you check out The Booth from time to time, you'll see before the show we usually have like a pre-roll of music of unsigned artists, Boston artists, and things like that. So you might be able to check out that video. As you can see right now, we have a Boston artist on with us right now. She's already here in the studio. And I got to say what's up to Lisa Bello. What's going on?
What's going on? Thanks for having me.
Man, it's been a while since I've really. It was like just the last time I seen you was just before COVID. It was at a hotel.
Yep.
It was like just before all the ish hit the fan, And
2 weeks before, I want to say, legit.
Yep, we were all there with like hand sanitizer. It was me, it was you. There was a couple of your friends, a female who had actually been on The Voice and things like that. Elion, your brother, Elion Virtuoso was there, and it was a great night. It was a Wednesday night in Boston, downtown Boston. Who would have thought that after that night, it was that weekend that everything got locked down, and then as far as artists go, it was almost like everything just came to a complete stop and shut down. And everybody had to reinvent themselves and come up with different ways to perform and actually for some make money, because some people have quit their careers to take their music industry on the road, and it's been a crazy, crazy time. And I just want to really get into this because I've seen a lot of our artists who have been on the show, and you're one of those ones that I've seen out there time and time again. You and your brother have been out there grinding.
Amen.
First of all, how have you been coping with COVID, and what have you done to kind of keep going during this time of not being able to perform and connect with your audiences?
So you speak to that, the people who, gave up everything. That would be me. I quit teaching. It's almost 3.5 years ago now. And to full-time pursue music. So at the beginning, I'm not going to lie, I was very scared. But writing music, writing songs is a really decent moneymaker for artists. It can be an incredible moneymaker when you hit the A-listers. So the first couple months, I sat in my depression. And then after that, I just continued to, to do my writing and, like you said, revamp, get on Zoom, get on Instagram Lives, like any type of way that I could reach the people and just kind of find new avenues for not only money, but to make people smile, because people are so depressed not being able to see live music. I know you're a live music connoisseur, like to not be able to be in that atmosphere. I felt like I owed it to the people to kind of give them some sort of new age experience, the age of COVID, what is live music like? So it's been tough and it stays having its days, but I feel like I almost have a handle on it. I dropped the album, so there's that.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the funny thing is too, for a lot of people, when COVID first hit, after that first couple of weeks when we realized nothing was coming back, we saw a lot of artists. Your brother, of course, was out there. And, you guys were kind of doing stuff online and just talking to people, just kind of keeping your minds going, keeping your voices refreshed. And some people out there, you saw some of the comments, people were kind of clowning on artists who were performing online, because there were a lot of people thought, oh, this is just going to blow over. This isn't going to be big. And what happened is this has become such a big deal now. I've got a story coming up in the entertainment booth about BMI and ASCAP. When you log into BMI and ASCAP now, they're already talking about collecting the royalties for artists who are now performing online, because this has been the way for the last 3 or 4 months. It's not a joking, laughing matter anymore to clown artists performing online. This has now become a way of life.
It is. It's their livelihood. It's our livelihood. You're right.
And
there's an avenue called Sound Exchange, which has been around forever, but they're a company that links your ASCAP and BMI, and every time you perform a song anywhere, they give you royalties. Now, they were the first ones to really precedent that, because I have been able to, if I sing a song on your program today, I can actually register it and collect royalties. Like they've been ahead of the wave. So I'm happy to hear that ASCAP and BMI are catching up for real.
Yes, and it's much needed. Like I said, a lot of people complain, like when we're on Facebook and we do stuff online live and the bots shut us down, and it's like, but it's a good thing, because to be honest, it's a double-edged sword, because artists like you, your brother, people like Veana Marie and all these other Boston artists out there, for a long time, people weren't getting those royalties that they should have deserved, and then they would end up going into what they would call black box royalties. And if the black box royalties were not collected, guess what? The stars like Beyonce and all those people, because they're at the top, they would get those black box royalties, and the independent artists weren't getting nothing. So when things like Shazam and things like that came out and started recognizing artists' music, you guys were able to collect, that the independent artist was now able to collect that money on their music. So whenever you see people's music getting stopped, it's like, but it's a good thing and a bad thing at the same time. But it is, because it's nice to be able to collect your money and see where it's coming from.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that you say that, because it's tough when you're trying to play, a little DJ mix at the crib and they start stopping the songs. But I think for me, though, I do wish that the higher end artists, that they let those songs slide, because they're getting back ends from Facebook and everyone else, But for the underdogs, the independents, I agree. shut it down, give us the money.
Yeah, because when I heard about black box royalties, which a lot of people don't know about the black box royalties, I was like, wow, independent artists have been getting screwed over for years. If you don't have a decent manager or somebody who knows about that, and you're not getting those monies and looking for that money, because at that time it was up to the artist to find all that money where it was at, and if they didn't, like I said, if they didn't get it, it stays there for 3 years, and then after 3 years, it went to the Shania Twain, so that money went to the Drakes.
Goes into the pool, isn't that wild?
The rich, and I've always said this, the rich get richer.
Of course. That's why I'm out here trying to educate the younger artists, especially in Boston, about royalties and copyrights and securing the bag, because literally what you just said is what so many people still, I mean, you're saying like it now, but there's going to be people watching that are going to hit you later like, what are you talking about? What, is that a thing? You know what I mean? Like, that's what's so wild. Yeah, and it's crazy that it's like that. So right now you've got this latest project out, self-titled, Lisa Bello. Yes. And this is like it's your third album, I believe, because I bought Tommy Boy. I had Tommy Boy. It's my third album. My first full length was called Double Life, and that came out in 2009. I actually took that down off of most sites. I think it's on Spotify just because of some copywriting issues and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But this is technically my third album, yes. And it's nice because, to be honest, a lot of people had copyright issues because, again, a lot of people didn't know about certain things. But now, if you're like on a DistroKid or BMI, they've now provide all the software now. So if you're an independent artist, they know and let you know how to do your split sheets and all the things like that. So they really do. Yeah, it is a great thing for new artists and to be up on your homework. So this inspiration for this latest project, the Lisa Bello project, Lisa Bello self-titled, I heard it. I actually pre-ordered it, and for me it was fire. And "Devil Is He" is my favorite song on that whole CD. What is the latest inspiration? You actually have an interlude on there called 2020, and the interlude is a dumpster getting picked up, a garbage truck. Literally the sound of it was in New York. It was in my Brooklyn apartment on the stoop. I actually recorded that when I was just mad in general at the world, and that was before Corona. And I had that saved in a cache because I save a lot of sounds, the subway sounds, my son talking, all these things. And then when I was going through it for the album, I'm like, if this doesn't sum up the year that we've had, that is pure trash, like, I got to put it out there. And a lot of people are resonating with it. Kind of hits them left field. They're like, what? Is that yep. I'm like, yep, that's the waste man cleaning up what's left of the year. I mean, I can't wait for it to hit 2021, even though I know nothing's going to dramatically change right away. I think this year just has a haunting over it that I can't wait to get out of. Yeah, and you know, it like I said, that interlude definitely was one of the ones that really stuck out to me. Like it hit me, and I was like, man, I think everybody who hears this and knows what that is, they're all feeling the same way. And it's funny because you release your album close to the end of 2020, so that interlude just made even that much more of an impact. Thank you. Thank you. It was a good segue to the new year. So what were some of your inspirations for these tracks this year around? It sounded like this was a very personal project, and I've heard this from other artists before. They said if you don't come out with a great project in 2020, then you weren't doing anything right, because it said, you know, being in and closed up, people should be able to focus and really put in what they need to put in on a project. So I agree with that, but I also have to say for people to be kind to themselves, because I think a lot of people are coming out of here, you know, being sad that they didn't lose weight, or they didn't create that painting, or they didn't do that album. You know what I mean? And like, although I hear them, it was really, really hard to get out of bed. I don't know about you, but there's days, you know, especially as someone who wasn't sure what my future was, I'm very proud of myself, but I also look to my friends that are kind of looking at me like, damn, you did that and I didn't. And I'm like, bet, you got this though. Like, this is your inspiration to be like, all right, 2021, I come out. The inspiration behind this project really was like life in New York. You know, I moved to New York almost 3 years ago, and the pandemic brought me back to kind of help the family out and them help me. But everything from my own situations to breakups I'd hear on the train, you know what I mean? Like Kill Bill was written really about my own experience, but also friends that I've dealt with and their experience with just kind of running back to the same partner and getting the same results. And then, you know, cutting their friends off to go and hang out with this person. And there's things that people are messaging me and they're like, damn, this hits. And that's why I did it. Like I wanted to do subjects that everybody had some sort of ownership in, so it at least touched their lives in some way. But it very much is a personal project, like you said.
And it hit home for me. And it was, like I said, it was right on point. My question to you next is does this project itself have an overall message that you want to get out to people when they're done listening to all the tracks? Is there an overall message that you just want to say to people about it?
I think if people look at the cover and they follow me, that it's the only way that they really be able to link the message. So if you look at the cover, I'm dressed as I was dressed in the cover of Tommy Boy. I have a hockey Jason mask on, which I played hockey my whole life. I'm a tomboy. And in this new cover, it's me basically being a therapist to myself. So the message of this album is that I kind of, spent these 2-3 years giving therapy to myself, to kind of grow from all these other things I went through. So I think it's like a grown-up Tommy Boy. I think that's the message. I went from like a lot of pain and anguish in Tommy Boy to fun, some pain, some good times, some grown-up times, some humor about me fighting at the park on the final track, Pro Renata. But it just kind of shows a softer side to me and a more playful side that I don't think people have seen in my music yet.
Nice. Now you have this interesting hashtag that you've been putting out there lately, and I gotta ask you about it. I can fight. What is that? What is that all about? I've
been putting out I can fight since before the hashtag. If anybody's watching or listening and they know me, I grew up in Hyde Park and I played on the all boys hockey team and I fought. I mean, that's what I did. And what's funny is there's always stories of me being like, never a bully. I was definitely bullied for the way I looked and playing the boys sports, but I always stood up for myself and other people. And it's kind of a funny way for me to soften the blow if I'm serious. It's always like, yes, I need you to do this and this, but also I can fight. And it's been my way of using kind of sarcasm, but I can fight. So it's a twofold. So I think my boy was like, yo, you should have named the project I Can Fight. And I said, that's obvious. We know I can fight. But it's taken like a little brand of its own. And I think that is cute and it's funny. I now have merch coming out that say it. You got a t-shirt of mine coming out. We can plug that. So hopefully you get to wear that soon. But yeah, I believe in branding and I believe in being genuine. And since that's a thing that I've been known for forever, I think just keeping that going in the flow of all my stuff, although it's funny, it works and it makes sense. And you remember this. See, people remember I can fight.
Yeah, well, it's funny too, because you know how it is on Facebook and social media. Sometimes when you put something out there, people automatically take it as a subliminal. So I was like, I was wondering if anybody was in their inbox like, oh, is that to me? Oh, are you like talking to me?
That's what's so funny is because everyone knows me, I love that you say that. Like, it's, who would say that is strangers, like people who don't know me. But people who know me are like, shut up, you can't fight. Just kidding. That's how they do it. It's a good joke.
So I gotta give a big shout out. I see some people in the chat. Kenyon Glover, actor Kenyon Glover. Yeah, what's up, man? I got your shirt on. Faithful and focused. Kenyon Glover. Peace, love, kindness. Faithful and focused. If you guys are watching the headset, that's the new Sinister One Productions logo.
Oh, that's
beanies are in effect with my logo on it. And like I said, if you guys are peeping my background, Gogru, Christmas, Baby Yoda. Aww. You all know I'm a big Star Wars fan. I'm not going to ruin any spoilers for anybody, but yes, the last episode of Mandalorian, last season episode, did make me cry. I'm not going to lie.
Oh, my dad hasn't seen it yet. We won't.
Oh, man, So, so this project, I actually had the video. I created a little video, audio, visual for Devil and Me. But you're sitting here, you got the headset on, you got the microphone in front of you, and I feel like if I was to play the video for people to listen, I feel like I'm cheating them because you're here right now, and I feel like maybe if you could just give them a little acapella of that song, I think that would be great.
Yeah, I can do a little bit of that.
Cool. Let me mute my mic so I don't bleed in on you and make it sound horrible. So here we go, and you take it over.
All right. What a drug, I'm a fiend. Come lay your temptations on me. I lost my way, but hear me out. Let's go higher, baby. Show me what it's all about. Then when we broken the pieces, they cut till I bleed. A second notion takes over. I know I should leave, but this addiction is potent. I fold at the knees, just a prisoner of the moment, and the devil is he. I think that's enough for them.
Oh.
Yo, I forgot the words. My manager's gonna watch this and be like, "How did you just? Acapella's not easy, all right? I messed up a line. That's fine."
Oh man! So you have a couple of people who are on this project with you. You want to shout them out and give your thanks right now before we know?
Yeah. First and foremost, I want to shout out in memory of Justin is on an interlude. One of my best friends that passed away in August. I want to shout out his whole family, the Waith family, because Justin was my family and now they've become mine. And he's a big inspiration for why I dropped it in 2020 and didn't wait until the spring. Jeff Andy all together on guitar and Devil Is He. Woo! Andres Echeverri. Andres is like, he's on Pro Renata, produced that track. Dow Breezy. Who else is on it? Sean Cronin on guitar. And then Uptown Frankie P, who's from Uptown, he just dropped a song with Nicki Minaj, and he's A$AP Ferg's producer. So I'm hyped to have him on. Kill Bill, Not a Love Story. He's on 4 tracks. And then the Dundada would be James Zayner. He produced, mixed, mastered, recorded the whole album. And shout out to and Ananda, because they were on 2 songs of mine. So I think I got everybody. And my co-writer, which would be Ken Villa, who's probably yelling at me for messing up the words. And my son. That's it.
And you want to just talk about your son, because your son, you know, we talked about your son off air, and I respect your decision. But again, I think it still should be acknowledged that you have a son who's so young and so talented, and he's already accredited with writing music at his age. I mean, I think that's crazy, because to be honest, that's where it's at. Writing music is where it's at.
It's so important. You know, Malik Williams taught me this with his daughter. Like, even before Cash could write or help me with music, I credited him on Tommy Boy. If you look on the back of the CD or on Spotify, it says Cassius Bello Music, because that's his publishing name. I got him a publishing account with ASCAP at 2 years old. Cool. And so he published this album also. So he gets royalties from my music to go into like a little account for him. And then I let him, you know, there's a track on the album called 145. It's like an interlude, and you can hear Cash talking. He gets writing credit on that, you know, and it's all organic. And no, he's not writing, you know, Beethoven level or, you know, or The Dream, but having him get credit and kind of put in the business, like you said, I'm kind of politely grooming him, you know. I didn't want him to be in the interview because I had asked him. And so I'm so glad you said that. I did ask him. And when he said no, I said, all right, I'm not going to force. You know, I think that's a good level to be at as a parent right now. I want to give him enough push, you know, because he can be lazy. He likes playing video games, but not like, you know, smother him to the point where he doesn't want to do it. So I appreciate you pointing that out.
And how's he handling this? Because a lot of kids are not handling this COVID transition with the hybrid learning. I mean, I got to just discuss that, because I know being a mother, it's hard. Yeah. You know, I know some mothers who have to sit with their kid every day because they'll be on Fort. Oh, the hand goes up.
All day, every day, I sit with my child. I am a certified special education K-8 teacher, and I still can't do 2nd grade math. So shout out to all the parents. You know, it's a hit, man. I don't think we forget about the kids, but a lot of times we're like, you know, suck it up, your kid. You've got your whole life ahead of you. But to them, this year has been a lifetime. And so I think my son is really struggling with not being able to have human contact. And, you know, we figured out he's a Zoom master. He's a gaming master. He's now talking to everybody better than I can, you know, virtually. But I still think that the kids need to be looked after once this is all said and done. You know, check in on their mental health and the time lost, and just ways to kind of figure out how we can go forward and not act like 2020 never happened, because I feel like, you know, that's what people are going to do when school gets back to normal.
Yeah, and I've said this, you know, on my outside, I work for the airport, and for me, I feel like, you know, that June is going to be that target month. I feel like once everybody starts being comfortable and getting the vaccine, they're going to start looking at, because pretty much when you're looking at shows that are coming up for next year for concerts and amusement parks and things like that, they're already saying if you have proof of having the vaccine, you can travel, you can go to shows and all this crazy stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I said, once people know this and see this, they're going to go. And I said in June, we're going to see a lot of people who've been cooped up for 2020. They're going to be taking and hitting the road in 2021. And then, and again, if it does happen, if you're an artist, you got to catch that wave and you've got to ride it. You got to get out there. You got to start booking shows, because booking those shows and getting those people who are hungry for that live entertainment, it's going to be a win or lose situation. Hopefully the venues aren't charging artists an arm and a leg. That's what my worry is venues trying to be greedy and not allowing artists to get into a venue. I think venues should be like, let's keep it cheap for artists right now. We just want to get people into the place and not, I mean, your thoughts on that, because I know you're itching to get back out, and there's nothing like that connection with a live crowd.
I am, to be honest though, you know, and I know people have different thoughts. I want to do it safely. You know, I'm immunocompromised, and not everybody knows that, but even like beyond this, I'm not a big hugger and handshaker before COVID, just because I've got a tough immune system. You know, it's not the best. And so for me, I want to make sure it's safe. I want to make sure it's done right. And I want to make sure, like you said, we're not scammed. So I think we have to come together more as artists, you know, with the unionizing and stuff, because what's going to happen is a venue's going to open, like you said, and they're going to look to the kid whose daddy can afford to pay $1,000 up front to get him into the venue. And that's what you're going to see. So we're not going to let that happen, especially in Boston. I think that we've got a lot of guerrilla and underground marketing and stuff like that. I think what you're going to see is a lot of unique, especially with it being summer, outside games going to be on lock. I think that's where we're going to see the grassroots and not people getting taken, you know? So I'm speaking that into the universe, because I think that's going to happen.
I think, if I look at June, if I'm saying June, you might be right. A lot of the outdoor shows are going to be key to a lot of artists jumping on these outdoor festivals, who actually, a lot of the outdoor festivals canceled last year, because it was like, it was the second week of March when COVID hit, and then it was the whole summer. We were pretty much locked up for April. So you're right. This will be the first of really the outdoor Lawn on the D. I know you and your brother have been involved with Lawn on the D. It's usually packed down there.
That's a huge venue for outside music.
So, I mean, it's just great stuff. So before we let you get out of here, I'm going to let you throw out your social media and all of that stuff, and give your thanks to who you got to give thanks to. And where they can get the music. Where they can get the music.
That's the best thing to say, because I always forget to plug it. It's just super easy to go to lisabellomusic.com. lisabellomusic.com. You can find all the links. Catch me on Spotify, Apple Music. Your mom's probably playing it in her car. You know, you'll figure it out. Also, I Can Fight. But I also want to thank my mom and dad. You know, my dad's a musician, and he hasn't been able to perform either. So shout out to him, and just for kind of teaching me all I know. And thank you for having me on. You know, we got to have the local radio, the local people supporting, man. This is a big deal, to just be reaching out to people in the community and helping us, because you're giving us an avenue that we may not have. So I appreciate you for letting me on the booth today. This was dope.
No problem. Like I said, I've been listening to your music I've been a fan for a long time. I think the first time I actually met you, I was ring announcer, CFX, and you sang the national anthem at one of the fights, and I was like, damn, who's this voice? I was like, oh, good Lord.
And I replaced my brother, which is even funnier. He was supposed to sing that day.
That's right. And the only reason why I met you is because we have a mutual friend in Melissa, who's on Hot 96.9.
I love Melissa.
I got to give a big shout out to her, because that's how I actually met you, was through her. And I was like, who is that? I was like, that voice. She's like, oh, that's my friend Lisa, blah, 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 blah. You know, you talk to Melissa.
And she knows everybody, so hello. That's my girl.
So good stuff. So, again, the project, Lisa Bello, self-titled, jump out there, get it. Yo, it's banging, it's fire. And like I said, it's got some great interludes. The 2020 interlude is just hilarious. Hilarious. And when we do open things back up, what do you think will be the first thing you're going to try to do locally, or you're going to just whatever comes your way?
I would like to start my tour in Hawaii, so let's speak that into the air. That's what I was supposed to do in the spring, so that's what I'm going to say that I'm going to do this summer. Start in Hawaii.
And to be honest, right now, because of COVID, the flights are cheap. The round trip was like $400 to Hawaii right now. $400. It's just crazy. It makes you start thinking about things under COVID.
I'm still staying in the house, but you're right. Those prices are cheap.
It is crazy. So, again, I want to thank you, Lisa, for coming on the show, hanging out with us. Me. And again, it's been a great time. People, get out there, check out that album, Lisa Bello, self-titled.
Thank you, guys.
Also, check out Tommy Boy. She's got some great tracks on that album. And you said your first album is at least still available on Spotify.
Maybe.
I don't know. All right. Well, thank you for coming on the show and hanging out with us, Lisa.
Peace, guys. Thank you.
All right. Peace. Cool. All right. That was Lisa Bello hanging out with us. Good stuff. And good interview. Great song. Devil in Me. Guys, you got to go check this album out. It's for sale right now. Hit her up. Lisa Bello, she's on Instagram, she's on Facebook, and you know what? Show these artists their support. As I said, right now it is a tough time. We want to make sure that we we support these guys and do what we need to do. So what we're going to do is we're going to get into the booth, the main show, and I figured it out, guys. I figured out how to keep the screen going when someone leaves the call, and we can get into the show. Again, Lisa Bello, thank you for coming on the show. Good stuff, and I can't wait to rock that shirt that she gives me right now. Kenyon Glover, Faithful and Focused, Peace, Love, and Kindness, Sinister One Productions, beanies available now. Check them out. Good stuff. Sponsor, Michael Douglas Barreto. Lifetime warranty on the controller repair. I'm an Xbox gamer, big Xbox gamer guy, and look, if you break a controller, you send it out to this guy. If you're in the area, United States, it's a 24-hour response, and within 48 hours, you get your controller back. MDB Electronics, and look, speaking of controllers. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see this, but boom. Oh, man, I wish you guys could see this. It's messing it up because the cover is green, but it's the Mandalorian, Star Wars Mandalorian controller for Xbox X, Series X, and the Xbox Series S, and for the regular Xbox. It's a limited edition controller. I'm pretty happy about having it. I'm ecstatic about having it. Really ecstatic. So, again, MDB Electronics is definitely who you want to look to for your controllers. Let's get in here. Also, Rebel Rom. Rebel Rom is my cousin. She has a clothing line for females and males. And you want to check her out at rebelrom.com. She's got t-shirts. She's got umbrellas. She's got tote bags. So you want to make sure you check out Rebel Rom at rebelrom.com. And moving right in, let's get into the news booth. The Brockton VA, which is located on the west side of Brockton, actually administered their first vaccination of Moderna. The first person who actually stepped up as a patient, I believe, was 70 years old. She was a war vet, Patricia. Stepped up, took that first vaccination, but also the employees at the Brockton VA also were vaccinated with this Moderna COVID vaccine. Now, Moderna is the one that's actually made here in Massachusetts. They also received the FDA approval. But while we were starting to give out COVID vaccinations across the country, Michelle DuBois, state rep, is under fire for asking Governor Baker to halt indoor dining and non-essential indoor activities such as gyms, such as bowling, and entertainment type stuff. I'm not agreeing with the indoor dining. I think indoor dining can be done if we follow the rules and do it correctly. Right now, under this new way that we're doing it, you have an hour and a half to eat, and you have to wear your mask. Pretty much, it says at all times, unless you're eating or drinking. the last couple of restaurants that I went to, they actually gave us our drinks. You know, as soon as you walk in, the first thing the waitress does, if you're at breakfast, they make sure they get the coffee right over to you. If it's lunch or dinner, they get a glass of water right over to you, so they can make sure that, you know, you can take your mask down. You're not sitting there waiting a long time with your mask on. So I got to give props for the restaurants for, you know, doing what they can. And I try to get out maybe once a week. You know, some people would say you're crazy. You know, the numbers are up, but the thing is guys, we gotta kind of keep these businesses going. So if I can, you know, practice my social distancing and be able to enjoy a meal just so I can help out the business owner, I'm gonna try to do that. I'm gonna have to try to do that, because I hate to see, you know, there's a lot of good businesses that have closed during this COVID period. And granted, we've got this $900 billion stimulus on the way to help people out, but again, it only lasts for so long. So, you know, the vaccinations are going out. The only real way that we're going to start to recover from this is once 70% to 75% have received the vaccination, and then we'll really see the numbers drop off. And once we get over that 70 to 75%, then, you know, COVID will be, you know, pretty much killed off as more people are vaccinated and get into a system. So we'll see. But Congress agreed to a $900 billion COVID stimulus deal. They had been negotiating for months. They weren't be able to get it done. They worked together. They got it done. People should be seeing $600 stimulus checks. I don't know when. It's probably going to go the same route again as it did the last time. But we'll see. We'll see. You got people out there complaining about the fact that it's only $600. You know, to be honest, it's better than nothing. Knock on wood, lucky I'm still even working in the business that I'm in, because we've taken a serious hit. But $900 billion stimulus deal is done, and let's see what happens. Let's see what we can do here. Also in the legal booth, oh man, Boston police sergeant on administrative leave after the release of body cam footage back in June, late May, early June, during the George Floyd protests in Boston. If you remember, we had the meeting on Boston Common, and then that night they had some issues. This is the Boston Patrolman Union letterhead that they released in regards to the sergeant who was put on administrative leave. So I'm going to put this up here for you for immediate release. This is the Brockton Police Patrolmen's Association, the union. They're talking about the attorney who put together different video snippets of officers and doing questionable things. They're saying that, you know, it shows the officers in a bad light and this and that, as you guys can see here and read it for yourselves. You know, I get it. I understand what Lawrence Calderon of the Boston Police Union is saying and why he feels this way. But what I'm going to do for you guys right now, I'm going to put on the video of the police sergeant that kind of caused this ruckus in regards to this night in Boston. And to be honest, it's a tough. I support my police officers all the time. I support them, but we talk about bad officers and good officers, and irregardless of what is being said about police officers, this video, it does make you open your eyes. I looked at it deeper and I said, not just the actions of the sergeant, but the actions of the person he is talking to is also in question, because the person he's talking to, you know, he walks away quickly because he already knows that what his friend is saying isn't good. And he knows he's on body cam, and then he lets him know, oh, the body cam's on and this. So he already knew that it was a wrong discussion to have. In a weird way, I kind of feel bad for the sergeant who opens his mouth during this video, because you can tell when he realizes that body cam is on and it just recorded everything, you could see in his face that he knew he effed up. He knew he effed up. So I'm going to show you this video real quick. This is the Boston Police Sergeant on video. Here we go.
Grenadier to Ponce, Tremont, Grenadier to Ponce, Tremont.
Dude,
I drove down the street. There was an unmarked state police cruiser. They were all fucking around. So I overcommit. So I got to fucking Tremont Park, and I was in the middle of fucking. So then I had to fucking keep coming. Fucking running. I'm fucking hitting people with the car. Did you hear me? I was like, get the fuck.
This thing is on. This thing is.
Oh no! I know. What I'm saying is, though, they were in front, didn't hit anybody, and, just driving. It's all shit. My windows were closed. The shit was coming in the fucking way. It was pissed. So, I was like, you gotta be kidding me.
Fucking crazy, dude.
Push this crowd back. We can't go any further.
This thing just fucking went on automatically.
Huh?
This thing just went on fucking automatically.
He knew his ass was in trouble. And like I said, I kind of felt a little bit bad for him because he knew. And the thing is, this was released and it's a tough one. But again, the actions of the other officer is also, I'm pretty sure, under question because, he puts his hand on his head like, hey, shut up, and walks away, and he's like, you could tell he was like, oh, man. So, as I said again, the Boston Police Patrolmen's Union have released a statement, and they're going to try to defend their members in this situation. But for this gentleman here, this sergeant, he's been placed on leave until further notice. So we'll see what happens with that. Also, in the legal booth, moving into the legal booth, the U.S. wants to take Walmart to court for their involvement in the opiate crisis. And if you're trying to wonder how Walmart is involved with this, because some Walmarts have pharmacies within them. And within those pharmacies, the U.S. government Justice Department is saying that Walmart didn't do what they should have done when it came to prescribing out the opiates, these painkillers and stuff. They weren't doing their due diligence. In other words, Walmart was probably being greedy and didn't follow what they were supposed to follow when, filling prescriptions and things of that sort, which is heavily tracked. There's a lot of doctors who lost their licenses from this opiate crisis because, they were giving out drugs that they shouldn't have been giving out to friends or whatever, and it's tough. So all that stuff is tracked, which is why it's all tracked now, and Walmart could suffer a blow. And as you've seen, a couple of companies who have already been named in this opiate crisis, they've filed for bankruptcy. But Walmart's pretty big. But keep your eyes on this story, because I think this is going to be very interesting as it goes along, and see how Walmart comes out of this. Because if the Justice Department can go after Walmart, the question now is raised, if you find places like Rite Aid, Walgreens, CVS, if their records show that they weren't doing what they do, can they also be held? So keep your eyes on this. This is going to be very interesting. Also, in the sports booth, we're going to head into the sports booth right now. Brockton is in the sports booth. Brockton's football cup football team. They were actually, I think they came into the Brockton area in 2018. I think they were 2018 they came. It's a professional, it's a professional league, but it's more of a league like the Bay State Buccaneers playing. So it's soccer. It's a big deal. And they're advancing to the United Premier Soccer League National Finals. If you guys remember correctly, the Brockton High School boys soccer team, they went all the way and went the distance 2 years ago. So now we have this team here. And again, we have a great big Cape Verdean Portuguese community here, very involved with soccer here. They actually said that the Northeast region is one of the toughest regions in the country. So for them to make it to the finals is huge. So we're going to make sure we keep our story on these guys and follow them and see how far they go. I believe the finals are in Atlanta and kick off this weekend. Also in the sports booth, rest in peace, Kevin Greene, 58 years old. He was the third all-time sack leader. I think he was right below Reggie White. But for those who don't remember his time on the Pittsburgh Steelers, and for those who remember, Kevin Greene was the first guy. He had that long blonde hair coming out from the back of his helmet. Played for the Steelers, ended up going to the Carolina Panthers. But for those who really knew who Kevin Greene was, the wrestling world is also in mourning for Kevin Greene. For those who don't remember, Kevin Greene had a really pretty good stint in WCW during the heyday of NWO and Hogan Hollywood and all that. Kevin Greene was one of these guys who was on. He was Hogan's buddy. He was Goldberg's buddy and stuff as he came into the WCW. But he was on that side of the WCW guys who were trying to fight the NWO. There was actually a great segment that was a build-up to Bash at the Beach where Kevin Greene came out in the ring with Ric Flair, and I want to say it was Kurt Hennig and somebody else, but they had come out to the ring. Oh, Roddy Piper. It was Roddy Piper, actually, and Ric Flair, and they came out to challenge the NWO. And at that time, the NWO was huge. Like, it was to that point where they had too many guys and didn't need all those guys. You know what I'm saying? Like, Buff Bagwell was now a member of NWO. You know, it was just kind of crazy. So, rest in peace, 58 years old, Kevin Greene. There are some rumors behind the scene that his death is CTE related. Not sure. It hasn't been verified or confirmed yet. But we will keep an eye on this story. Ryan Carpenter actually hit me up. He wanted to talk about that and the Pat Patterson passing. So we'll see. But again, moving on in the sports booth. Patriots lose to the Dolphins 22-12. And will miss the playoffs for the first time since 2008. And look, people. I've been a Pats fan before most of these people out there. I was a Pats fan when I couldn't give tickets away in the old Gillette Stadium. I was a season ticket holder at the old Gillette Stadium when you would go to a game at 1 o'clock and be home by 3:30 because the game wasn't televised because it didn't sell out. They were the AFC doormat, AFC East doormat on top of that. So you'd go to a game, there'd be no TV timeouts, there'd be none of this extravagant opening for them to come out. You know, they came out, they played the game, and then you went home. You know? And then it took off. It finally took off. 9/11 hits. First game takes off. Drew Bledsoe's injured. Tom Brady comes in, and that's when it starts. 20 years. So for all you guys out there who are upset and whining and crying about the fact that the Patriots aren't making the playoffs and talking about people should be fired and all. Look, shut up. Shut the F up. Shut the F up. Be proud at the fact that no one will probably in this day and age see another team do what the Patriots did. When the Patriots started this dynasty run, when they got that second Super Bowl, everybody wrote them off and said they'll never be able to do it. The salary cap is so hard to maneuver. They'll never be able to get the players and keep the players and get in players that will work and this and that. And everybody said they'll never be able to make a dynasty under this day and age and under this era of the salary cap the way it is. And guess what? They were all wrong. The Patriots did do it. Yeah, they had some busts at the free agent spot position. But they had some guys who came in here and solidified championships for them. They brought Corey Dillon in, who was this disgruntled guy that nobody wants. No, Corey Dillon was just tired of losing. He came here and they started winning and got a Super Bowl ring. Randy Moss came here. So we saw something from 2008 to 2020. We saw something that no one will probably ever see in their lifetime. So all you selfish people out there, get over it. They lost. They're not in the playoffs. And I get it. Trust me. This region, this area has enjoyed the Patriots going to the playoffs for over 20 years. This region made a shitload of money. You don't think so? police officers overtime for games at the stadium during the playoffs. Even the years that they didn't make it to the Super Bowl, they went deep into the playoffs. That extended the season by 3, 4 weeks, 5 weeks if they went to the Super Bowl. Those were games that people were in the bars and restaurants eating and doing whatever, watching these guys. Now it's come to an end. Will it be back? We'll see. Who knows? Like I said, I'm still hoping for Trevor Lawrence. But because the Jets won, but they're still on point to take that first round draft pick. So we'll see. But the Jets have done some stupid stuff. It would be nice to see Belichick pull off some mastery in the draft and get a quarterback. I can't see them going with Jarrett Stidham. Even though Jarrett Stidham may get the start on Monday night against Buffalo, which is probably going to be an epic ass-kicking. And again, I don't know why anybody's surprised that they lost to the Dolphins this past weekend, because the Pats never beat the Dolphins. They never sweep. The Dolphins never sweep the Pats. They always split every year with the exception of the 16-0 season. Other than that, the Patriots always seem to split with the Dolphins, irregardless of who is where in the standings. Patriots took that first game this year. Dolphins took the second game again. I actually had picked them to lose on all of my picks. So, people, get over it. Get over it. Also, before I get in here, also in the sports booth, I got to talk about Derrick Henry's stiff arm from hell. So, back in week 5, Derrick Henry, running back for the Tennessee Titans, delivered a stiff arm on Josh Norman that people have been talking about for weeks. Weeks. People have been talking about that Josh Norman stiff arm. Well, guess what, people? Josh Norman on Sunday night was able to take a shower, put on his pajamas, and have the best restful sleep of his career. Why? Because somebody else has now taken the title of receiving the worst stiff arm from running back Derrick Henry of the Tennessee Titans, Alex Myers. Yo. Let me just get this up for you guys and see this one. But here it is. Here's Derrick Henry's stiff arm on Alex Myers this past weekend, courtesy of NFL.com. Here we go.
They're the ones that finish at the catch. Just another great one from Corey Davis. Henry. Look at that stiff arm. Don't get aggressive. And then if you're running sideways, forget about it. That's Josh Norman all day long. You cannot tackle Derrick Henry when you both are running sideways against each other. You got to go take out his leg.
Derrick Henry putting the stiff arm. Oh, man, that was horrible. That was horrifying. And even the announcer still, one last time, mentions Josh. he mentions him one last time, but he knew that the mantle had changed. Alex Myers is now at the top of the stiff arm mantle. Because Derrick Henry just laid him out. And here's the sad part. Alex Myers is a rookie. And he made the tragic rookie mistake of trying to tackle Derrick Henry high and not going low. And he massacred. What's up, Patrick Goldstone? I see you in the chat. And I just did see some breaking news in regards to Trump pardoning 20 people, and a couple of those people were involved in the Russian investigation. So I'm dying to kind of see what that's all about, because that actually just popped up while I'm live on the air right now. So Patrick Goldstone, if you're listening, if you're watching the show, drop it in the chat for us. Drop a link in the chat for us. That'd be great. To see what's actually going on. I'm dying to see the 20 people that he actually pardoned, and it's going to go right along with what I'm going to talk about in the Trump Troubles Biden Bombshells booth. But moving into the entertainment booth, Veana Marie, freshman class 2021 for DaVibe magazine. Got to mention her. Give her a big shout out. Veana Marie, freshman class of 2021. Also, as you heard me and Lisa Bello during our interview with Lisa Bello, we talked about ASCAP and BMI, which is the royalties. This is the publishing music rights companies who, if you're an artist, you're either registered for one or the other. You have to also put your music in their catalog so you can get your credit, you can get your money. Before, ASCAP and BMI, they didn't share any data. They kept their information separate. But now they've decided to have a joint data platform where they will share information about the artists, split sheet agreements and stuff of that sort, which is great because now artists will be able to collect even more. Even though I say all this is great because artists get to collect even more, trust and believe me, BMI and ASCAP don't do stuff just for the artists. They know that this here is going to bring even more money as we head into this online era of music and performing live online. All of these social media groups now are paying people for performing live online now. It's a market. It's out there. And COVID has created it, and it's not going anywhere. It's gonna be here to stay. So again, this new joint data platform is going to be great for artists. But again, like I said, it's going to be a win-win for them because they'll be able to collect more monies. And as I explained about the black box royalties, yeah, it's a tough one. So also in the entertainment booth, I don't want to give out any spoilers, but as I said before, this past Friday was the season finale of The Mandalorian on Disney Plus. And I'm not going to ruin the spoiler for anybody. I'm going to wait at least 3 weeks. That's my rule. If you didn't see it, I'm not going to ruin it for you as to what happened in the season finale. But one spoiler that I can put out because Disney wants everybody to sign up and get on board is, Boba Fett was in this season of The Mandalorian. And there will be a spin-off series in regards to Boba Fett called The Book of Boba Fett. I'm not going to tell you, where this story is going to take off and what it's going to be, but the Book of Boba Fett is crazy. And if you want to see the sneak peek of how this comes about, when you watch this season finale of Mandalorian from this past Friday night, you have to stay in MCU the credits. For those of you who don't know what MCU means, it means stay till the end of the credits. Because Jon Favreau, who did a lot of MCU movies, he is now putting this to the end of these Disney shows. So make sure you MCU these credits at the end of The Mandalorian when you watch it, if you haven't seen that season finale yet. And make sure you'll be able to see what I'm talking about with the Book of Boba Fett. Heading into Trump troubles, Biden bombshells. As we all know, we talked in this last week. It was just before we went live. Attorney General Barr was out. He was ousted. He resigned. Trump actually fired him kind of in a tweet, but Barr actually put in a resignation after he had pretty much said that there was no voter fraud. There was no proof of massive voter fraud. And for those of you who are all over my Facebook page or hit me up on your pages and call me out, I never said that there wasn't voter fraud. There's voter fraud every year at every election. There's always some type of voter fraud. They just found a 70-year-old man trying to vote as his dead mother for Trump. So this was just out there, but there was no massive voter fraud, which is why they lost in court, which is why SCOTUS didn't hear the case. There was no massive voter fraud in the amounts that would have affected this election as the way it went. And again, people, I don't know why y'all are upset and making a big deal out of this. When Trump beat Hillary, we didn't know Trump beat Hillary until 1:32 in the morning when the Michigan votes came in and was being finally counted. And then all of a sudden, Trump took this big lead at 1:30 in the morning. So if anybody wants... You see what I'm saying? Now, all of a sudden, it's a rigged election. It's a fixed election. Nobody said nothing back in 2016 when he took the lead out of the blue over Hillary Clinton. Nobody said a thing. Hillary was upset, but she came out and she gave her speech. So it's crazy. But Barr on his way out this week, not only did he give Trump the FU last week, he comes out now and he says, he still believes there's no massive election voter fraud, but he also came out and said that there really should be no wasting of time looking into Hunter Biden. He feels there's nothing really there. There's nothing really worth bringing and wasting time on. And that, again, Trump took a nutty. Mike Pence is on the outs with Trump. Mike Pence come out. He recognized Joe Biden as the president-elect and said that he's going to be going overseas to take care of some affairs over the seas. And Trump today is out of his mind. He's tweeting about Pence. And it's scary because you still have Trump supporters out there, still sticking behind the scary things that he says. And it is scary, people. As we move on into Trump troubles, the feds are looking for Rudy Giuliani's phone or his electronic communications. They want some evidence. They want to look and see what's going on with this stuff with Giuliani and the voter fraud stuff. And remember, there were already rumors that Giuliani was looking for a pardon. Why would you be looking for a pardon, Rudy? Something you don't know that we don't know? So we'll see, but they're looking for it. They're discussing it. And like I said, January 21st is going to be very interesting around the White House. Interesting. Also, this is what I was just talking about. The officials have finally found the case of a dead person voting. It was a 7-year-old Republican. He was voting in place of his dead mother so he could cast his vote for Donald Trump. So that's an actual case of voter fraud. Again, doesn't change the results of the election. You still lost. But here's what I talk about. Last week I talked about Cynthia from the Democratic representative from Michigan who put her threat out there to the Trumpers and the militias. And I said, 2 wrongs don't make a right. And here's your top guy. We are now at the 30-day mark. And Trump is now making threats, telling people that he is going to have a 30-day reign of destruction as he leaves this office. He says he's threatening that every day that he's left in office, he's going to make it a reign of destruction. This is crazy, unprofessional. We have never, ever had a president who has done or said or threatened the way this man has. And anybody who still backs him, anybody who still thinks this man is credible or a great president, you are definitely out of touch with reality. I don't care who you are. You can be Skip Clay, you can be Matt Pollux, you can be all these people, Tyler King. I don't give a F. If you still think Trump is the guy for this country, you are out of your minds. You're out of your minds. No president has ever done or said the things that they have said after losing an election. This guy is stirring up a lot of trouble to the point where I'm worried about this guy. Like, when does it get to a point where somebody may do something stupid and drastic to shut him up? And then it really messes us up as a country. I wouldn't wish that on the guy at all. At all. I would never want to wish something like that. But this is the type of stuff. As much as you see the crackpots on the Trump side, there's that many crackpots on the Democratic side as followers and people. So let's just get it correctly here. Also, in the Trump troubles, Biden bombshells, Trump also protests, he promises wild protests on January 6th because he claims it's impossible that he lost his election. Now, I actually posted on my Facebook page that January 6th is the date that we need to all watch. We're not out of the woods yet. And what I mean by we're not out of the woods yet, January 6th is when the White House, the Senate, and Congress solidify this election. And if it was to happen, if a coup was to happen by the Republican GOP and Donald Trump, January 6th would be the date where that would happen and where it would force them to pick the state leaders to cast their vote that day on the floor. Could it happen? I don't think so. Why? Because when you look at how many Republicans are now coming forward every day who are now accepting President-elect Joe Biden, and for those, I mean, even Mitch McConnell is now recognizing Joe Biden, SCOTUS. So even though we're not out of the woods yet, I feel the Republicans, a lot of Republicans are seeing the light, and every day that Donald Trump says these crazy, crazy things, the Republicans have to kind of pull away from him to the point where it's going to force them to maybe even work with Biden just to kind of separate themselves from the legacy that Trump is going to leave behind. And again, they're already predicting Georgia to go Democratic because they're saying, this Trump rhetoric has killed and hurt this election down in Georgia bad. They're saying it's hurt bad. They're predicting that the Democrats are going to take Georgia. And if they do, that's big. So, again, January 6th is that last date. I'm worried, a little worried. I mean, I actually talked off air about this with Ken Diesel and R Squared. I'm worried, but I don't think it's going to happen because I think a lot of Republicans are coming out. They're coming out. They're seeing that light, and they know what they need to do. Even though some of them did sell their souls, to support the guy that they originally didn't want anyway. And I keep telling people that the Republicans didn't even want Donald to be, in the Republican Party to begin with. So this is what's even crazier about this whole thing. But we'll see. Again, guys, I want to thank you for coming on the show. I got to thank Lisa Bello for coming on with us tonight. Make sure you go out and grab her album, self-titled, Lisa Bello. It's on iTunes. It's on all types of media outlets out there, streaming outlets. She also said to make sure you check her out on Spotify, which pays the most to artists out there. So jump on Spotify, give her some streams, check her out. Next week on this show, as we close the booth out for 2020, Bob Hildeberg is coming on the show. He is the author of Relive Patriots History. He has this book that's been going out. You've been seeing on Twitter. He is coming on the show. I've actually met Bob many, many years ago. We did a show together live at the fair, at the Marshfield Fair. We were actually on stage, and I think that was when he just unveiled this book, which was just before all the Patriots craziness took off. So, again, he'll be on the show next week, hanging out with us. Also, you want to make sure you check out a couple of podcasts that I've been involved with and give these guys some support. Oscar Mike Radio, Travis Partington on Thursday nights. Matty C's Sports for You and Me. Matty C is actually closing out his season. He's going to be talking to NHL star Theo Fleury once again, which was a kick-ass show. So you want to make sure you check out Matty C's Sports for You and Me, Oscar Mike Radio. I may even invite Matty C to come on with me next week so we can close out the year and maybe break down a little bit of the NFL playoffs and see where they're headed. But other than that, hey, I got to thank you guys for coming on the show, hanging out with me, showing your support and love. And, what we got to do, I got to just get my Goguru up there, my baby Yoda. I want to say Merry Christmas to everybody. Happy holidays, Happy Hanukkah, Ken Diesel and R Squared. What's up, guys? Hanging out, lighting those candles on the menorah. Good stuff. But other than that, all I can say is be safe, people. Have a great holiday. Make sure you're back here with me next Tuesday. And SpongeBob, do me a favor. Take us home.
Well, see you next Tuesday. Thank you for listening to The Booth on Hoobazoo and HatcherRadio.com. Please follow the Facebook page and subscribe to the podcast at Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. The Booth is a Sinister One production hosted by Sinister One.
I've got to start hanging out with friends that are a little more intelligent and understand politics and stuff. It's just that I'm up on this level up here, and all my friends are down here. Me, nah. You guys, nah. Maybe a little more down in here. Screw you guys, I'm going home.
I smoke, I drink, I do my thing. These bitches hating, so you know I got to make it plain. Don't do cocaine with your chick, my main. We stick together, true forever, yeah, you know we bang. I miss those days, which was easy. If only I made it, bitch, don't repeat. Now that I done upgraded, that I've been upstate and y'all think I'm playing. And I got a hit now for these weak ass hoes who think I ain't slaying. Try me, and I'll probably end up laughing cause I never back down. I'm that chick with a clean ass whip. I don't need that shit, it's like I'm my own now. I get hurt, I get tired of fussing, fighting, guess I gotta crack down. Don't mess with me, cause on everything I'ma have to bring the whole city out.
WHOOBAZOO, that's whoobazoo.com.
Enter website.